Ooh, that's interesting. Oh, I see.
Oh, baby, this is going to be interesting. Hey, dudes and dudettes, what is going on? Jonny Middleton, I'm joined once again by my awesome hard rocking amigo,
Travis Ward.
and welcome to episode 9 of our classic song The Crypt album review series on YouTube, and we are steadfastly approaching double figures, aren't we, as I alluded to in last week's episode.
We're on episode 9, okay.
And again, this is like, the albums today, dude, so it seems like we're having a run of these of like albums that like, you know, commercially, you know, recognised by a lot of people. And we've also achieved a lot of commercial success.
We're going to a lot of British bands as well these days.
Especially the last couple.
Definitely.
Well, last three, actually.
Okay. I mean, we've touched on a lot of British bands.
If we're at the whole series, I would have to wholeheartedly agree there, with the exception of a couple. And yeah, today's an album. It's sort of like, which it's like it sort of leads on to where like the Stone Roses left up in that. It's part of a genre like that whole album.
This is a band that took all their fans. I mean, the Stone Roses had their demise around 1994.
Although we were arguing, like, where the football fans left with Stone Roses, did they jump from Oasis to Stone Roses or Stone Roses to Oasis?
No, it's got to be Stone Roses to Oasis because Stone Roses were there first. To Oasis. Yeah. Unless there were people these days who had not heard of Stone Roses until they came back.
Perhaps so. Perhaps so. That's the myth for the ages.
So we have.
And there's also a second video in a week or two after doing the Ice Bucket Challenge.
Indeed, how fun. We have Stone Roses falling into the ashes, and then Oasis rising from the ashes with
I
a debut
copies
album.
of this album.
Definitely by Oasis.
Maybe. And we're going to have a game of rock paper scissors to show us the album. He only has one little insert in his booklet, don't we, last year? Because you bought yours from like a charity shop or something, didn't you?
I know what you're talking about.
I'm sure you did. And so, yeah, this album was released in 1994, everyone, and this Travis said it was in August. It was preceded by 3 singles, the third one being released in that same month.
Yeah, a week before, and Live Forever. It was preceded by the singles Supersonic and Shaker Maker. But
like the band like released like the white label demo song called Columbia, which like was like released like the media before.
Yeah, it was used to draw in attention.
It wasn't really like drawn to the public.
It was to give to the media to show what they're all about. And it wasn't a record single, but it was played 19 times in 2 weeks by BBC Radio 1.
They have some real lights there, dude. I'm not the list this hot soon. They didn't play like 19 times consecutively.
Not consecutively, over a period of 2 weeks.
That's still quite a lot of times over the course of 14 days.
For a new band as well.
That's like nearly once every couple of days.
Yeah.
And so, it was released on an independent label, like Creation Records. Because like Alan McGee, one of the fans that they like, spotted the band played at King Tut's Wawa Club in Glasgow. Yeah. Goes to a story like how the band like had to like go out, like break into the club because like apparently they weren't allowed to play or something on the bill or something.
Yeah, something like that.
And like all the money that goes to Glasgow, they get confused by it, just like, god damn.
The BBC has called this album Beatles songwriting with Sex Pistols attitude, because Liam Gallagher has also been associated as a cross between John Lennon and John Lydon.
Especially the glasses. Wonderwall video.
Because I'm about to sing.
And I was going to say, like, I've always described Oasis as like being a much more distorted Beatles. Like I said, they had a lot like similar melodies to that band, but they play up in Marshall amplifiers instead and turn them up. Which one of Noel Gallagher's musical approach was using bad chords on guitar, which Travis is good at playing at, and also simplistic drum, simplistic drum patterns by Tony McCarroll,
who was apparently out of time a lot. Caused some issues. Caused some issues.
It sounds pretty good on the album. Although being in the studio, like, the whole engineering to take care of that. Who was the name of this engineer? You said he had a few.
Oh, right. There's a couple of engineers.
I think.
Okay, so we've got. So with this album, we've got Liam Gallagher on vocals and tambourine. We have
and this album's unique because Liam Gallagher sings on every single song.
Yeah, unlike later Oasis
like Noel's sort like in the background, he like drives back and forth to like slide away.
A couple of backing vocals,
And he also does like the live version of Live Forever bit now.
Yes. He does the high falsetto in Live Forever.
But I've always preferred Liam's vocals. I'll get some why this is.
We've got Noel Gallagher on lead guitars and backing vocals.
It was the final member to join the band, dude.
Indeed. After
we've watched his... Because like Liam joined, like, was part of a project called The Rain, because that was like Oasis'
with the other Oasis members who took over the vocalist Chris Hutton. Noel Gallagher had been touring with the band, as a roadie, the band
Spiral Carpets. So that's where the whole like, Oasis name got their name
from like a leaflet. It was a centre in Swindon.
Like Liam had seen like his brother Noel's bedroom as a roadie. They played the Oasis Live Centre in Swindon in Wiltshire. future.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
We also have former members of Oasis, like after 1990. Well, wow, hello. After 1995,
That's just my dog.
Tony McCarroll leaves, who was the drummer, and worked in production, and also which Noel did. And then 1999, during the recording of Standing on the Shoulder of Giants, we have Paul Bonehead Arthurs, who played rhythm guitar and piano,
1992,
and Paul Giggsy McGuinn.
Where should I place down? Because you thought it was too modern. But
yeah, well, they both left in 1999 or 2000.
They're still present for like their inceptions, like the end of
They're recognised as being like the original Oasis members and stuff.
Until like April '95, one of them left.
Something like that.
Not sure.
Well, Bonehead left to be a family man. Stuff like that.
Wow. They're like what Head did from Korn.
Yeah. No, he was going to find himself, wasn't he?
Well, sort of.
The album is so far 7 times platinum in the UK. It's been given 5 stars.
So 8 million copies worldwide, dude. That's cool.
5 stars from AllMusic, 5 stars from Q and Rolling Stone, and a 9 out of 10 rating from popular magazine NME.
Which was again like reinstates whole Britpop thing leading on from the Manchester scene.
Leading back into production, we have Mark Coyle, who was an initial producer.
This album was like recorded, like there was a lot of problems during the recording of the album. Like the band initially tried to record like I think Monmouth Valley Studios, what's it doing in like Wales?
In Wales, yeah.
But like the band were playing like this like huge
it was in Monmouth.
And based like the producer who said Mark Coyle.
Yeah, Mark Coyle.
Did he produce the first sessions?
No, he was the later ones.
He was the first.
He was the second. He was at Sawmills. Oh, we'll get on to it. We have Owen Morris on additional production and
I'm not looking down as much.
And Charlie Dutty, Dave Scott, and Ray Spring or something on engineering.
Dave Batchelor. That's what I do. Because basically, like you said, it was too weak, too clean. Like the sound, like the huge, massive sound, like the band was trying to sound like live on the studio. Yeah. It wasn't working out with Stu's production methods.
The album was recorded.
It sounded crap.
Late 1993.
It's like when you burn those like CDs from Windows Mini player in comparison to iTunes. The iTunes versions are so much better mixtapes. Yes.
Well, I was MP4s and MP3s on Windows, aren't they?
But I always found the move of the media player to like more quieter, whereas on iTunes like standard CD volume.
At its time, in 1994, it was the fastest selling
debut album in British history.
With 86,000 records sold, which was then overtaken in 2005
and it's
by Arctic Monkeys and then Leona Lewis.
Screw the Arctic Monkeys. Screw the
I like Arctic Monkeys.
We were discussing this before, dude.
This is like this emergence of Britpop with the demise of grunge.
Because like Britpop was like lyrically, so it's like a sort of like a contrast into like grunge. Because it's like it focuses like on much more like, like upbeat lyrical things, like
and anti-government sort of stuff.
So like Live Forever, like it's basically like a contrast to the song I Hate Myself Want to Die by Nirvana, which
death,
features
drugs,
B-side to Minority. We've covered this whole thing in our last series, everyone. So
indeed,
that's really cool, Billy.
And
really cool.
Well, something about that in a interview for the Stop the Clock's Greatest Hits album back in 2006.
That's like the first Oasis album I ever bought, dude. Stop the Clock's Greatest Hits. Yes, I was stupid back then.
Yeah, Noel had been working on a building site, which is where Live Forever came from, and I thought
that's where Live Forever came from.
He liked Kurt Cobain, but he didn't like this attitude of I hate myself and I want to die.
Yeah, because basically like how Kurt Cobain everything on like mainstream success.
Yeah, he says that
Idol.
Seems to me that he was a guy who liked everything and was miserable about
it. Good with quotations.
And Noel said about We Had Nothing. And getting up in the morning was the greatest thing ever.
But dude, it's not Noel Gallagher any F words.
I know.
That's why both Liam and Noel Gallagher are very controversial. Because when you say Oasis or something, you immediately think of Liam and Noel Gallagher. Don't think about any of the members.
Even though there are iconic members. Yes, it's not like Oasis have had that many members.
They just associate more with Noel and Liam.
When
controversies.
When Bonehead and Giggsy left, they got a guitarist and bassist who I think stayed with them throughout that course, and then they had a couple of drums because they had. Was it Alan White on drums or something?
I have no idea, dude. Oh no, it's Tony McCarroll.
Yeah, he took over from What's the Story, Running Glory till about 2002, and then.
Liam once hit Noel on the head with a tambourine, which led to Noel temporarily departing the band.
Yeah, during the American tour, he started writing "Talk Tonight," a very popular Oasis song.
And then it was in America. He flew to another part of America to record it. Because you have to fly to each state of America, so a damn big country.
I've called this album, along with the Beatles songwriting.
I love this quotation.
Beatles songwriting with the Sex Pistols, but the album was at a time of conservative greyism on a rainy Lancashire, coloured over with glossy Britpop.
Well, I'd imagine the Oasis be like more of like the working class mentality, so they wouldn't really.
They definitely appeal to the working class.
Like a Labour sort of. Was Labour like a dominant seat in Manchester at that time?
I guess so.
Although John Major was in power, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Most Northern's subdivided Labour v Conservatives. This isn't a politics lesson.
Well, I'd call it the anthem of the working class.
There are a few songs in here which deal with the anthems of the working class, as you alluded to, such as like Cigarettes and Alcohol, Supersonic, for instance. If referred to the singles' most well-known songs, we can't get into each song individually. It's sort of, you know.
And another,
give you just a little taste of what's to come.
The legacy is just this reassuring interest, isn't it? And
didn't you say this album isn't like considered classic, but you know it should be considered classic or something?
It should be. It's an important album.
It's sort of like revitalised interest in like British guitar,
like Manic Street Preachers,
along with like Park Life by Blair, which was like third studio album released in the same year, which features a couple with the Dogs.
Yeah,
you went to
the track
because you went to watch the Dogs recently.
Alton Stadium, yeah.
You went with your friends and you had a good time.
In 2006, Enemy called this the third greatest album of all time behind Stone Roses' self-titled album, and the Smiths' Queen is Dead.
There was a poll as well, dude. Like this sounds like voted as like the best. June 2006 sounds voted the greatest album of all time poll for Enemy magazine, and in 2007 and 2008, HMV and I believe another. Yeah, HMV and Q in 2008, you know, put definitely maybe first and greatest British albums of all time. So it's back to how it's the fastest selling David British. But like you were saying, Way Here, dude, like Oasis seemed to have more success in the UK, like with this here as opposed to in America.
They weren't like.
And they also had problems like signing an American recording contract. That's why they signed like a worldwide contract to Sony, and they licensed like the band's release the album in the UK on Creation, which was again an independent record label. Because like Alan McGee being so impressed, he just gave the band a recording contract as soon as they played us for Rain. And that was when Noel Gallagher joined. Because the bass like used Liam like as like a foil to like lure his brother in. Because Noel was basically like the band leader, and the band were going to perform all his songs.
Yeah, because as soon as Noel joined the band, he became this dominant force with all his songs saying that they have to work towards stardom.
I think it was gigs though. I can read Bonehead. It's like basically like when Noel Gallagher joined, like the whole band's repertoire of like just expanded. Like before I started, they were just like making a record of like 3 or 4 songs.
Yeah.
But then when Noel came, it completely revolutionised the band.
I guess.
But do you think the band would have been successful without Noel Gallagher?
No, terrible.
I'd probably have to agree with that. There are some people in bands that just wouldn't be the same without. And I can't think of any other examples right now.
Really? Oh. Okay, and then we move on to recording, where it started off in Mono Valley Studio near Monmouth, which is in Wales.
Which the band booked in early 1994, did. Although you argued they started recording in December 93.
I'm sure they started before.
Wikipedia for you.
No.
It's silly.
Well, Wikipedia's just full of references anyway.
Wikipedia's like the ladle of knowledge that
they started with I don't.
And it's free.
I used they started with Dave Batchelor for producer, but apparently it wasn't happening. The music was weak, thin, and just too clean.
It's like they're playing in like this big room, which we alluded to before.
Yeah, so they went in, they played it, and then when they went out, it wasn't what it sounded like.
Yeah, it wasn't being replicated on tape. It's like the band was trying to get that live sound on record.
Yeah, and it was costing them £800 a day.
Which apparently, if Joe Gallagher said they had their pot to urinate, and then basically
it's going to be from Creation Records.
But Creation Records was in debt, dude, because that dude
don't you think it was in debt because of this?
It was because Live Forever really got a band label out of debt, because like the start, because that dude's only give like £60,000 to promote the album. And so I went to like football magazines, Matchday Progress to promote the album, and it led to a whole generation of listeners.
Indeed, and
football fans.
He took the tapes to a bunch of London studios, but they ended up going to the Sawmill Studios in Cornwall, which is an interesting studio because it's on an island. It's an old like archaic sawmill.
I could make a Weezer reference here, I'm not gonna.
Island of Sun.
Yes.
Right, they thought, oh wow, we're going there by boat, but it's like a little boat with an engine in. And so
it's very industrial.
Like one at a time.
It reflects like the whole working
apparently, like there was the only
weird.
pub you'd have to go on by boat, and they'd have to get back onto the boat by 10:30, even though closing time was 11, because of the waves or something, and how the current changed.
Wave after wave
and so the only way was to get to this was by boat railway, and so this is when
dissatisfied with the results of these sessions.
But this is when Mark Coyle comes in.
Was produced by Noel Gallagher
and Mark Coyle. And
but like the band were in a rush to they didn't have much time to get the album out.
But you see, because they didn't have that less is more factor, they wanted all this overdubbing of guitars.
Yeah, which was subsequently removed by Owen Morris.
Yeah, Owen Morris, who came in afterwards.
Didn't Owen Morris mix it in London?
Yeah. They just gave it to him and said you can do whatever you like.
So moved from Wales to Cornwall to London. And the great thing is the music passed with so many hands, but it still sounded absolutely exceptional.
You know, you can do whatever you like, and so he remodeled it, and made it what it is.
Layering of guitars may have benefited the sound. Although we were saying you can still hear a lot of multi-layered guitar parts in these songs.
Indeed,
it's pretty ridiculous. But what to me, dude, makes what they sound accessible is that despite the whole like layering of guitars, basically like the whole wall of noise distortion gives that accessible vibe. It's very similar throughout.
It's that loud guitar reinvigoration. It's just
this is one of Noel Gallagher's playing methods. What he advocates.
I guess
Beatles influence, because Britpop is basically taken from the past.
Well, they were listening to Revolver a lot when they were writing this.
And the Jam was also one of Noel Gallagher's favourite bands too. You say listen to Revolver all day and all night. Kinks, the middle 60s band. Britpop was based on the 60s dude. It was an antithesis to grunge and upbeat lyrical themes.
Also, I think Paul Weller gave Noel Gallagher a custom.
We could also mention Jonny Marr here, but later on.
And so
this album, which is mentioned the artwork too. We get into this, the whole pop culture sort of thing.
It's got just
not portrait of anything.
Yeah, this brought in this whole pop culture of the Labour Party, 10 Downing Street, and Oasis,
working class, and
the Spice Girls.
If you want to be my lover.
No. Terrible song. It's just a unanimous approval from critics as soon as it came out. It's a well-respected album.
It's like the singles released on this album, Supersonic Shaker, Make Live Forever, they're all like ascending the charts, by each release.
And even more so when Cigarettes and Alcohol.
And so basically, like the hype for the album was like. And the album emphasised one of the track Rock and Roll Star, which is it was a promotional single released like the final single.
Like an airplay in America.
In America, like May 1995, it was radio only because like Noel Gallagher was saying like you can't have 5 singles off the debut album because the latest song on this album, Slide Away, was like considered to release a single, but it never was. I don't know what Noel's thinking is this one.
This song,
all the songs
sums up what it is.
All the songs are sounded written by Noel Gallagher.
Yeah. This song is what it is. It's one of those songs about being a rock and roll star, and it was apparently one of the best songs of that sort of topic for a very long time.
Because it's basically like about like how people think, oh, you'll never make it, you gotta go out and get a proper job, but then when you go out and do make it, it's basically like a massive screw you to all people that ever doubted you.
Indeed, Noel said I pretty much summed up everything.
It reflects the upbeat lyrical themes, dude.
Yeah.
An antithesis to grunge and all that, shoegazing.
Yeah, Noel said I've pretty much summed up everything I wanted to say, which is it's definite in the lyrics.
Yeah, because it feels that this song, with Live Forever and Cigarettes and Alcohol, it feels as though is saying something, but the other songs repeating themselves in a different way. Yeah. It's a fan favourite, and it's formally played close to bands' gigs. And as I was saying, it opens a very sort of distant sounding guitar. Just to, it sort of reflects
like some raunchy guitars with a wall of noise.
Very psychedelic. Like, I don't know, there's some sort of vibe. Some sunset vibe. So that could be a little reflected in the grunge, but not really. But before a very anthemic blues orange riff comes in,
with Liam's catchy vocals.
Yeah, you can hear the most like guitars part.
Even though some were taking out.
Before I developed my literal musical ears, I couldn't actually pick out the blues figures. Typical 12-bar blues melody, I suppose.
That's later on when Shake and Make with the 12-bar blues.
But the blues are, you can hear the blues nature in this riff when it kicks in, and this is where Liam Gallagher uses like his stretched out vocals as well, doesn't it?
It's
like,
a very,
I live my life in the city.
It's a very rock and roll song, to be honest.
And like you were saying, dude, it basically has this like heavily distorted, overdriven, Marshall amplified guitars
with the vocals carrying it along nicely.
Because bass, like, despite the song being like about 5 minutes in length, bass like the whole wall of noise from the distortion and the Marshall amplified guitars is what makes it accessible. As it remains very similar throughout. You just get little changes, various licks and riffs throughout.
Just punchy opening track, isn't it, into an album?
It like lures the listener with a big, hard, rocking anthem.
With like the solo as well, reinvigorating the guitar from Brit. It like builds up to this surround experimental aspect as it's closing with the repeating of it's just rock and roll.
That's like reminds me of like the 21st century schizo band.
Oh, it's all like crashing.
It's like all over the place. Like you get guitars,
you get
you get the drums, you're like really, really high in the mix. Like from Tony McCall.
It's with this multiple guitars.
Would you say like no, like really plays guitars much more high in the mix than like Bonehead did?
Yeah.
It's a both played guitar.
Yeah.
Noah's lead and Bonehead was written. It was the second commercial single released on the album in June 1994. 2 weeks before the release of the album, and it charts at number 11 in the UK charts. Just now, the band's just now missed out in the top 10.
Yeah, this earned a place on the top of the Pops.
I swear the band played this song live on top of the Pops, dude. I swear I read about some of them played it live. One of the very first bands to play a song live.
Well, that's shocking.
On top of the Pops.
Top of the Pops has been going for quite a few years before then.
It's good to be different.
They also landed in some disputes with the £500,000 suing.
They had to pay £500,000 in damages because basically the song's vocal melody in the verses is very similar to the song I like to teach the world to sing perfectly harmony.
You can tell that straight away.
It's evidence like a Coca-Cola advert and was created a song by the New Seekers in 1971, I believe.
Yep. And I mean, this song is just a massive reference to adverts in the first place.
Because it's like this, like actually a shaker maker was like a toy in the 1970s. Like you basically use like
Yeah,
water
no,
and powder, and you'd mould like figures from it. Imagine that. Imagine that keeping this a few hours.
Yeah, why not?
I just drink it. Screw with all the things. I just drink it.
Okay.
What about Mr. Ben and Mr. Clean? Lots of pop culture references in there. Mr. Sifter.
Noel said that the lyrics were taken from the world around him.
I read that too. Again, like Mr. Ben was Mr. Clean was taken from by
Mr. Ben was a TV show.
I always thought Mr. Ben was referenced to Tony Ben.
No,
I don't know why.
He wasn't big until. No, Tony Ben was big for.
But he was a Labour politician too.
Yeah.
I thought that was
recently
certain.
deceased.
But then I found that Mr. Ben was a children's cartoon.
Yeah, I've seen it.
And because like on the way to the recording studio to record the song,
yeah, we didn't have a third verse.
Like Liam was pestering Noel to finish the song, and the bass like stopped.
No, he asked him if he had one.
And then bass like the Sifters.
Yeah,
it was like a record shop in Manchester that Noel used to buy records. He was like in the final verse. It's like the line, my Mr. Sifter sold me songs when I was just 16, because obviously Noel went in there to buy records when he was younger. And Mr. Sifter basically said to mind your words, Noel Gallagher, if he ever got famous. Because he was saying how Liam, like, his mannerisms didn't really change, this could be the same with Noel too.
It's like that Manchester arrogance with this. With
a lot of F words in there. Basically, if you want to be like Liam and Noel, you got to swear. Basically, that's very controversial. That's why they're controversial.
They're very arrogant. But it's
good to believe in yourself. Just don't rub it in people's faces.
It's a pretty consistent track at first with the guitars and vocals as soon as it kicks in.
It's not as like abrasive as say like rock and roll style. It doesn't like hit you in the same immediacy. It's more melodic. One of the biggest songs that Oasis ever released on this album was the third single released in August 1994. Just about 3 weeks before the album.
1 week, wasn't it?
1 week before they released the album.
I think so.
So I know that the album came out, because it's actually the 20th anniversary today of this album, dude.
Oh, yeah, a couple of weeks in before it came out.
There's pressure on still an exceptional review.
I thought it was 1 week before.
It was like, the single came out like early August, and like the album came out in late August.
Just a funny fact, the artwork
I was going to mention this.
Features a house, and it was the house that John Lennon grew up in, like, as a child.
I was wondering that whole house sort of reflects like the vibe of the song. It's almost like that whistling sound first show on Rock and Roll Star. If I get like Liam's vocal saying maybe
another Beatles reference. I mean, like when Oasis started
more distorted guitars.
When Oasis started out, one of the first songs we played was "I'm the Walrus," which was seen throughout their career.
Which is on the 20th anniversary. It's Chasing the Sun.
There's also a B-side on one of the singles, the live version, which is then on the Master Plan album.
Yeah, because they did that thing, didn't they? Like, it's like definitely made as like a singles box set for like the B-side.
Oh, they did the same thing for
like
What's the Story, Morning Glory.
Yeah, I'm not sure when the What's the Story one came out though. This song was written in 1991 was one of Noel Gallagher's earliest compositions, and it was inspired by the track Shine a Light by the Rolling Stones' 1972 album Exile on Main Street, which is arguably Stones' biggest and most well-known release, perhaps. And it's more of an optimistic perspective, because like alluding back to like the whole Nirvana thing, you were basically saying like how like Noel Gallagher said like no, it sort of didn't like how Kurt came, basically like he was like unhappy with everything he got, whereas the Oasis basically had nothing and they were happy with that way.
Enemy said that at first you got this Manchester arrogance, but now you get this sheer effortlessness.
I once read it like Oasis sound like this guy's like unstoppable, whole like simplistic melodies and heavily distorted.
The instrumental version of this track is what helped them.
I've seen live videos and they used Marshall amps, big Marshall amps with the red light, which means distortion or overdrive. Probably have pedals. You know, we'll get into another song that opens with like effects. Every band's got effects pedals, dude. Because it really just adds like an extra bow to your sound.
In my Beatles.
They play acoustic for most of the time. Except Helter Skelter.
It's like clean all the time.
Helter Skelter though.
Acoustic would be no amps.
Which album was Helter Skelter on? Just get us out.
The White Album.
The White Album, okay. Charlie Manson. Josh Bell, you know exactly what I mean by that.
The instrumental version of Live Forever is what helped them get attention from Creation Records.
So this song was originally an instrumental, dude? Like
no, it's just that when it was first in instrumental.
Oh, that's cool, because like there's an instrumental bit like later on, isn't like it really, you know, it plays like, because I know
the
it's like
half of the song.
Yeah, because I know it's like crap. Like a lot of the times, like the vocal melodies, sort of, like you get guitar melodies.
We get the vocal melody of the high falsetto, which Noel took over because Liam thought it sounded gay.
What do you think's that video? Do you think it's pretty good? I think
I like that. I think it helps carry on with the song.
It adds like an extra diversity.
It's unique.
You get it on Slide Away, but that's like Noel Gallagher's backing vocal.
This is one of the songs which kick off with the drums as well, which you see
makes a change from like the whole distant far out sunshiny side.
Because then like the guitars and vocals all kick in together,
which sort of like brings the whole flow of the album together. So I said, like, whole heavily distorted guitars, all sonically similar. It's still a long song, isn't it, dude?
It's very
like 4
rhythmic,
minutes.
anthemic.
It's just what you find a lot on this release, I feel. Like, extremely distorted, melodic, highly rhythmic songs.
I mean, it's
probably why I enjoyed this band so much for the whole melodic.
Song, I mean, like Slide Away, where you can tell you're bursting from verse to chorus. This is one of those where it's like verse, except for the little
I'm sure
You and I Want to Live Forever, chorus. And then it carries on consistent for the first half of the
this song. This is the first song out doesn't feature a conventional chorus.
I mean, it doesn't break until the solo kicks in.
Because it wasn't really a solo shake, was it? Not really.
No.
A song like you said, dude, it doesn't really stand out as much as like the previous 3 tracks on the album.
No, I mean, it's not one of the more memorable numbers on the album.
Even the guitar effect from the song, it does have the same vibe as the others, but it does sound a bit different. You can see why a lot of people may not, rate this song as highly as the last 3 songs.
There's different sounding guitars. The drums are quite dominant. They stand out in one of the
This is a very anti-government song, dude. Much in the very vein of the Sex Pistols.
Yeah, that's where the Sex Pistols vibe comes from. It's one of the.
You can hear the picking on the distortion, like do. Which references Crypt by Stone Temple Pilots.
Yeah.
Again,
Okay. It's one of those 90s Brit rock numbers with the guitars, definitely.
I gotta be right, goes, your insistence of the things that you have never ever seen.
It's not as strong as his previous numbers from the album.
Nah,
for some reason, it reminded me of Crocodile Rock by Elton John.
And I've never listened to that song.
Really? Wow.
No, dude, no. I'm very narrow-minded musically, I'm afraid.
Yeah, it's just another one of those upbeat Brit rock songs with a catchy, memorable riff, but not as... it doesn't make as much of an impact as earlier songs.
I think like the whole thing that really stood out to me in the Merciless song was that opening riff.
I mean,
the rest of it feels a little weak.
It is a good album, don't get me wrong, definitely maybe it's good, but there are some songs which just don't stand out. But I mean, later down the album, they are a bit jokey.
I could give 2 in terms of this one and another one. One of the 2 of my most favourite songs on the album.
It's definitely one of my favourites on the album.
This was originally an instrumental song, what's it do?
Yeah, like that 12-inch.
Like the band like wrote it whilst like on acid in like a Liverpool in like Liverpool.
Yeah.
And Noel said like somebody penned the lyrics, but he swore wrote about like 90% of the lyrics. Because in like the Chasing the Sun series, it like stories behind the songs, like little segments I didn't just use Wikipedia. Don't worry, I quoted some of the CD. I'm getting there, aren't I, dude?
You get
They couldn't think of a name for the song. So basically, like the reference to Columbia Hotel, which one of Noel's favourite hangouts was, still ready for Spiral Carpets.
It's got some really crazy sounds to help open this. Because it's a very musically driven song for the later half.
Effects on the guitar, and it's actually one of the albums everyone like. I feel like the guitars, like
the guitars sound best on one of these songs.
They're not
one of them.
I don't feel like they're not really like the driving force. I feel like Liam's vocals really do it, because then. This song was like basically like a jam from like acid house favorites which the band did do, and it's basically like in the chorus. In the chorus, and Liam sings, "I can't tell you the way I feel, because the way I feel is also due to." I just feel his vocal delivery in that part is just awesome.
I know what you mean.
But like you said, like the whole distorted guitars, like they do obviously play a part in the song as well.
It's mind-infusing creative noise.
It's very psychedelic. You can tell that straight away.
Well, I don't get that then. Is it the
longest song so far?
I think Columbia's the longest. And I'd say it's more like surround with the yeah further on.
That's like, because it follows like a huge like instrumental part.
It's like after you've had this onslaught of music.
From the vocals, you get a taste how like the song originally started out as like sort of like an instrumental. And, like the whole drums do the whole like they do reflect that whole dancey vibe. Because they've got like the song on this like an acid house dance number which the band did.
They got reviewed by a dance magazine called Mix Mag, which gave them 5 stars, which was something different.
Which was uncommon because like they weren't really a fan of like guitar music, but when the promoted definitely maybe they really started to embrace.
I wonder if they'd be a fan of the Prodigy, because that's got
perhaps,
sort of rock feels to it.
We're both big fans of the Prodigy. This is like similar to Live Forever. It starts with drums, didn't it?
Sure, why not?
Supersonic.
Yeah.
From like the main, I feel the riff, it really stands out in the song. Supersonic, it's like do 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 do. That's what really lures me. That was why this used to be my favourite Oasis song. This now it's younger.
This is Noel's.
It was just the melody.
Favourite Oasis song as well. It's one of the numbers he kept playing when he started doing No Guidance High Flying Birds.
After broke up, and this like Liam's vocals like more is stretched them out like I need to be myself.
No, he wasn't a fan of like prolonging vocals.
Until this album.
No, he just wasn't a fan of it in general.
Well,
I mean, they're not prolonged that long, though. I mean, not like Noel does in certain songs.
Well, I feel it's sort of really add like an extra, depth to the album. I feel it's stretched out vocals, my favourite element of the album.
Like Noel's part in Aquarius
in my
is
opinion,
a bit prolonged.
I love Aquarius, the master plan. Got to be like a What's the Story Deluxe Edition.
Which I just own the master plan, so...
I don't. That's why I can't wait for What's the Story Edition.
I don't need that sort.
High five, brother.
No.
Screw you. It's a really powerful song. Like Columbia and the Supersonic, they really pick up the album. Like it might have dropped it up in the sky for some people.
Yeah, and just another random fact that this was performed in their first national TV debut on the show.
The Words, which we mentioned in the L7 review.
Yeah. 10
Were Dead, stripping, flying V guitars, and all that good stuff.
Late night TV.
Strawberries and Cream and all that.
It was recorded at the Peak Museum in Liverpool in under 11 hours and was never mixed.
Yeah, because the band originally goes for recording the song "Bring It On Down," which is the next track on the album.
No,
but
Bring It On Down was when they were doing Slide Away, wasn't it? No, it was Supersonic.
But basically, they terminated for a jam because basically, Tony Griffith supervised backing vocals on this song.
Along with Chris Griffiths, who they were recording with the real people from Liverpool.
A fellow Liverpool rock band.
Yeah.
And they basically, from the jam, they basically felt, a way to have a hit single on their hands.
It's got a couple of Beatles similarities in this song.
Do explain, brother.
Yellow Submarine and just a couple of...
How is that as rock and roll stuff?
No, Yellow Submarine's mentioned this one. It's BMW and then Yellow Submarine.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, I can't remember the songs. I'm a noob.
This one which bursts in with the drums like that forever.
So basically, the band recorded Supersonic as opposed to Bring It On Down. It was finished in 11 hours.
It's one of those...
in the Pink Museum studio in Liverpool.
Yeah, I've already mentioned that.
In one day. Which is cool. In one take, it was never remixed, which you mentioned.
It's one of those guitar riff driving songs.
So the guitar still stands out a lot on this song. I say probably more so than the vocals.
I've just called it Brit rock at its finest.
Especially the riff. It still represents the true British rock.
I think that the lead guitar stands out over that
One of my friends, I'm sure once said that we're the best British band ever. I don't feel this song really stands out. It's a bit like another Up in the Sky, isn't it, dude?
Yes, that's what I was thinking of.
I think of three songs that don't really stand out as much as the others. Well, maybe the last song. But. It's another song that's about this is another anthem for the working class, isn't it, dude? Bring it on down.
Off with aggressive
you're the outcast, you're the underclass. And it's another song, like you said, that contains a heavily distorted guitars played through massive Marshall amps.
Well, I said it had a lot of feedback at the beginning.
And this is another song like Liam Perlon's book, like, you're the outcast, you're the underclass. Which is based, that was more Scottish influence, but that's like Dizzy Clyro. But and anyway, this is like, it's basically...
It's just rock and roll and upbeat like the rest of the album.
It's basically like what the upper class think of like the working class, we basically call them outcasts, underclass. And because, the upper middle class don't really care about them, but you don't care because you're living fast. Because the working class have to struggle to make ends meet, whereas the middle and upper class can just, get what they want most of the time anyway. Another big song from the album.
Definitely one of my favourites on the album.
It was the highest charting single from the album. It released a couple months after the album, charted number 7 in the UK singles chart. And I agree, it's one of my most favourite. Just like the whole cigarettes and alcohol, the whole way it starts like smoke before the main guitar kicks in.
When they just put it in.
Just a very heavy song, and there's controversy about the main retain T-Rex.
Yeah, they got accused of plagiarism with apparently borrowing it from Get It On by T-Rex and also Little Queenie by Chuck Berry.
Dude, it's another working class anthem because it's about the appeal of cigarettes and alcohol and drugs around.
Also has the tambourine in the beginning.
Which I didn't know. Distorted tambourine.
Liam famously playing tambourine quite far away from the microphone at times, so it's just...
At least they could play one instrument, dude. That's the main thing.
Wow. He can play guitar, can he?
I just got like whole sort of 1970s, hard rock style from bands like T-Rex in this song. It's very sort of.
It's one of those ones which focus on Liam's accent with the sunshine.
But like you say, it's just like another hard rocking song to add to the album, that whole wall of noise. Because as we said, some of these songs are quite long, but it's just like the whole wall of noise that really makes them accessible. And the whole very melodic nature and hard rocking feel of the song probably be attractive to.
I say this is one of the more dominant rock and roll wall.
Absolutely.
This song is lyrical themes as well, because apparently it's got something to do with cocaine usage as well.
Possibly.
In the song, which got
cocaine. Eric Clapton.
And they were quite surprised how a song with such advocates could get played on BBC Radio 1, but he managed to get it on.
It's catchy as hell, dude.
I guess.
It's Oasis breaking boundaries, just like broke into the King Tut's Wow Wow Club, playing on the spot by Al McGee.
The stupidest tracks on the album.
It's really about lasagna. This is very comical. And the whole vibe of the song is very comical.
It didn't start with just Oasis members, but another member who I can't even think of. But yeah,
it's the shortest song now. This is it.
It's 2.5 minutes.
I just don't like that riff. You know, it's
the guitars are a lot cleaner.
Very staccato, like it's like Purple Haze, but nowhere near as good. But I like.
It's like something the Beatles would write, talking about going around for tea.
But I like the way like Liam delivers his both cars. Like these could be the best days of our lives.
Another upbeat song from Oasis.
It's just what the music and lyric.
Happy jokey.
It's good to have that whole side to going around and just take it, like cigarettes and alcohol-ish. But again, this is Dinner's not a song that really stands out much. Much like Up in the Sky and Bring It On Down.
Yeah.
My second favourite song.
It's probably my favourite from the song.
Columbia and Slide Away. They've got to be.
Cigarettes
and alcohol. You said too.
Yeah, that's what I've probably my favourite. Slide Away was written on a Les Paul, which was given to Noel by.
I'm surprised how many standout songs are on this album alone. That's something that's followed from the next release.
It was given to him by Jonny Marr because Noel was short on guitars when they were tuning, and he said that the song pretty much wrote itself. And the funny thing about the Les Paul, he smashed it because there was a fight at one of the gigs, and to help Liam out, apparently, I don't know if he hit someone over the head with it, whatever he did with it, smashed up the Les Paul, and I think he got another guitar afterwards from Jonny Marr to use as well.
So this time Noel smashed his own guitar as opposed to Liam smashing it.
Yeah, causing the demise of Oasis.
Which was a very sad moment in musical history.
Which pretty much put me off Oasis for years.
This song's basically like the first song they had that tackles subjects of love, because it's written about Noel's girlfriend at the time called Louise Jones, their stormy relationship. And he described like this sort of pair of soulmates and it was never really got over their split in June 1994.
I said that this was a more upbeat, Live Forever sort of vibey song.
I just love the chorus to it. It says like slide away.
It's a dreamy,
I get the dreamy song too. And it's really long too, like over 6 minutes. Like you can really embrace like the whole accessible, melodic nature of West or something in this song.
Very memorable.
Because you can just imagine like people like sing along to it.
It references the Chasing the Sun, which is the reissues of the Oasis album.
Dude, the first three, Chasing the Sun.
It had some like Morning Glory albums.
Yeah, I do too. Well. Do you know like Waste Styles like that whole intro guitar? If you realise that whole Morning Glory vibe. Yeah. You talk about the song, or the album?
The album as a whole.
I thought the song was all Morning Glory. You got a lot of references in this song. Like NME described it as like a completely heartrending love song, and it shows the band possessing both the sweetness and tenderness to complement their well-proven hooligan qualities. This is a bit of a difference to the other songs though.
The dry-sounding acoustic track to close it off. I like it. It's nice because you have this barrage of heavy guitars and you just enter
which give it a successful niche by length of the songs. It's the other song this album that was like primarily instrumental. I mean acoustic.
Yeah, I don't know what the origin of it is, but
you can say it's written on like a settee or something.
Yeah, they just went upstairs and started writing on a settee in like half an hour. But I mean, the origin of some of the lyrics, apparently it could have been what Noel's girlfriend was saying to him, like, your music's shite, it keeps me up all night.
Stormy relationship, dude.
Yeah,
stormy relationship. And basically, like you can really hear like Liam Gallagher's like vocal tone. You can really hear his like accent and the way he sings. I think it's really cool.
It's a nice different style of vocals from Liam's.
I feel it's like something that like some people may like, and some people may not like.
I do like it. I mean, it's not one of the most standout.
It's like I describe it as like the come down from Slide Away. Like you've been like rocking out, thinking, "Oh, Slide Away is the best thing since sliced bread," and then you get married with children, like, "Oh, I can relax now and enjoy this nice little acoustic song."
It's a good album. I think it's a very good album. I think it's very important for its time. But to me, there's some songs
there's a lot of songs that stand out. A lot of songs recognised by
but there's some songs which let me down on this album, I find. And
are you talking about Up in the Sky, Bring It On Down, Dixie's Dinner, and Married with Children?
Not Married with Children. I quite like much. I don't know. Rock and Roll Star. I've heard quite a lot. And it just
me too. I didn't think I had that same appeal to
me. The other singles.
Probably Stop the Clocks too. The first time I ever played that thing. I was younger. Oasis is one of the first bands to do
it's a good debut album.
We ever listened to when we were young, weren't we? Manic Street Preachers
too.
We were born in the huge riding wave of Britpop.
I grew up with Britpop and Oasis was one of those bands, so I've been listening to them for years. And so, I don't know, it's one of those...
They've always appeared to me, I thought, oh, it's that band that plays songs like Live Forever.
It's debatable whether it's a fine wine to me, because, I mean, it's growing old with me, but
I saw your tweet. You said listening to definitely maybe after like 3 years.
I ain't listened to it for ages, but if I kept
very
listening
sort of... relaxing.
It's nostalgic.
Nostalgic.
See, I hate What's the Story Morning Glory. I can't stand that album because I've listened to it so many times and there's so many songs I've heard a lot and I like Cast No Shadow. I like that song and that's about it because I've heard everything so much. With this album, there are songs in here that I haven't listened to as much and so they're more memorable to me. And they're not overplayed either.
There's still a lot more standout songs of What's the Story.
That is true.
Nearly all of them.
Yeah, that's why I can't deal with it.
But definitely it was like a more condensed. Yeah, it's. I mean, you get some nice solos.
It's good for its time. It's just like I said. It's this conservative rule, crappy Lancashire.
It's a bit simple though, isn't it? Because just got like the whole.
Arrogant working class guys.
I know the songs were like pretty length, but it's just simple. You know,
I don't think it's simple.
The whole wall of sound. I know you get the most like guitar parts, but the whole.
I thought it was quite well written, the music.
Well, I mean, like the whole distortion, like it doesn't really
change.
It's
a bit mad, yeah.
It's a bit sameish in that respect.
So
it's just like if Digsy's didn't have spin, I'd probably give Sam a full 10. So I absolutely love it.
I'd give it an 8 for what it is, but my personal preference is 7.5. Yeah, my personal preference is 7.5, but to give another rating would be 8 because of how important this is. You know, you've got no Stone Roses, and so they needed to be, and no grunge, and so there needs to be something else. And this is a waste.
I probably enjoy this album a lot more, dude, because like I prefer Liam Gallagher's vocals to Noel. And on the album artwork, everyone, it's actually the 20th got the Chasing the Sun series of the album because, like, as aforementioned, like this album, it's actually the album's like 20th anniversary on this day, the 29th of August, and like on the front it sees like the artwork, like the images, this image of like that film Good, Bad, Ugly on the TV. You see Liam lying on the floor, Noel sat on the sofa with like an acoustic guitar, and there's a Pink Floyd reference to Gumma because like the whole artwork is very similar to that album.
There's also George Best.
Yes, dude, somewhere around here. And there's also Rickenbacker guitar from Jonny Marr over there too.
Johnny Marr? I don't know.
Rickenbacker guitar, I don't know. And then on the back you see like Noel and like the whole like, Chasing the Sun series of the album. And seeing as it's like a reissue, the artwork's much more expansive. Like, you get pictures in it, and features like the band, like, there, Liverpool get signatures from the band in the first disc, because I have a special 3-disc version, because I'm a big Oasis fan, and I've been for like years. You see the live demonstration tape, which was in the band's first issue on Crash Records, like the stories behind the songs, well, the whole stories behind, basically about the whole B-sides of the album, like Liam Gallagher's ripped shirt from the performance at Derby Warehouse in April '94. I just skipped through the booklet and a picture of the band in the taxi. It's like, basically like the whole page in this book are a bit weird to separate, so I'm just like showing you what I can. Like Noel playing his Les Paul, which gives me by Jonny Marr, wasn't it, dude? Basically like the Oasis logo in there too, and I think it's like definitely made a print in there too. And then we get like on the back of the disc 2 and 3 and quotations from the songs Live Forever, which is disc, I think that's disc 3, and that's disc 2. And that is the artwork, everyone. And here we go again, peeps, the moment that I totally make a huge song and dance about. I haven't said that for 3 episodes, have we? Have I doing this? Well, we pick out the hat. Well, we pick out the hat, which I'm going to show you for episode 10 next come. We're finally reaching double figures in this awesome series, and seeing as it was, I pulled out this album last week. It's cherry to say once again. And I shall do the spy, and I shall completely cover your face, dude, with your eyes. I realised I covered your mouth. I do apologise. I hope you can still breathe. I hope you're still alive, brother.
Absolutely fine.
This is good. What's it going to be for next week, brother?
Okay.
What's it going to be?
I don't know. Who knows?
Give it your best shot.
Could be anything. Oh, God, I've got so many things. Okay, let's have a look. I can't see.
Go on, dude. Very interesting indeed, peeps. Very interesting indeed. That should be rather interesting, dude. So,
indeed.
Until next time, thank you very much for watching. I've been Jonny Middleton.
And I've been Travis Ford.
Stay safe, stay strong. We shall see y'all next week for episode 10. Finally double figures. Thanks for watching, peeps. Thanks, peace, and much love. As always, take care.